everybody, this is Grimmi. So Act 2 of the Dream SMP musical came out a few hours ago, at least the one I watched, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Everybody worked so hard on it, it's great to finally see it all together. Anyway, I wanted to go through all the different parts of the animatic I worked on. I originally had 2 scenes assigned to me, but as the project went on, I took up more animatics so it was needed from me. I ended up doing almost 7 animatics worth of work. I'm going to go through the animatics in chronological order they come in the video. Then I'm going to talk vaguely about the other aspects of the animatic I worked on, like the coloring, translation, and the voice of a speaking role I had. So the first animatic that comes up is scene 1. The second half. This was the 4th addition to the workload I was given. I'm quite happy with this one because it's the first appearance of Quackity in the animatics in the musical. So I was a bit like, oh, I get to draw Quackity's first appearance. I had a lot of fun with the expressions here. I followed the storyboard I was given pretty much to the T, except for a couple ones like the one where Quackity and Wilbur are glaring at each other. What I really like about this animatic is that Quackity and Tommy flip each other off, and I think it's such a funny trend in this musical that Tommy just flips everybody off. I find that really funny. In the last frame, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but with my Wilbur drawings, when he's not being a villain, so before he gets exiled, you can see both of his eyes, like his hair's not over his eyes yet. And what you see in I think it's the last frame. Yeah, the last frame, his hair actually covers his eye. What you'll see later in my animatics is that when Wilbur is a villain, his hair covering his eyes, his left eye for most of the scenes. And that was just a little detail I put myself in, just a little thing. If you notice it, you notice it. Not yet villain Wilbur, you can see both of his eyes, and villain Wilbur gets an emo haircut. I don't know why I find that funny. It's funny to me. So the second animatic that comes up was the first half of scene 2.2. This was the 3rd addition to my workload. So this is the 3rd animatic I took up. Again, I followed the scenes mostly frame by frame, but I did change some details like certain like a close-up of Schlatt's face and certain things like that. I also get to draw Victor, which is very cool. I think it's the only time he turns up in probably the entire SMP. So I was quite happy to be able to draw him. And it's also Schlatt's first appearance in Act 2, which again, like, I'm getting a lot of first appearances of characters, which is a bit like, oh, I hope I did them, did them justice. I had a lot of fun with this one because Schlatt is drunk for most of it. And it made the expressions a bit funnier and sort of made his interactions with, it's a serious scene, obviously, because like this is like the beginning of the end for Manberg. So I still wanted to be a bit funny because Schlatt is drunk and I find that funny as a concept, but still serious enough that it was clearly, adding stress to Wilbur. Like, Wilbur lost, dare I say, 13 years of his life just in that scene alone. Like, the beginning was great, and then by the end it's like, oh no, everything's gone wrong. I really like what I did with Schlatt's close-up scene because it just shows that actually he's kind of dangerous, he's not a good guy. And I like him trying to wrestle the mic out of Tommy's hands. This is all based on the storyboards of that, and I just found that really funny, so I just really leaned into that aspect. Again, Schlatt being pushed away by Tommy is like meant to be kind of serious, but I just think the little animation I did, the single piece of animation you're ever gonna get from me, I just find it funny. I don't know why, I just think it's really funny. It just looks so silly. And I really like the frame of like Schlatt saying, yeah, you haven't seen the last of me yet. Mark's got a perfect voice for Schlatt. I can't believe he's younger than me. I'm honestly offended. Schlatt's voice actor is younger than me, and it's just rude, honestly. I'm joking, honestly. So the next scene I worked on was actually the first additional animatic I was given. That's the scene where Dream sends Tommy the letter basically saying that he's going to help them from the shadows. So originally this storyboard had 34 frames. And by the end of it, I had 96 frames. Like, who does that to themselves? Only me. Only me. I took some creative freedoms with that, with the bit where, like, Dream's talking, because he's not technically there. I really like what I did, personally. I had a lot of fun for it. I think the Attack on Titan breaking down the walls sort of frame was used in the trailer, which I'm very happy about. But I tried, yeah, I sort of went ham on that because there was less coloring I needed to do. This scene is sort of like the breaking point for Wilbur into becoming a villain. In the storyboard specifically, I'm pretty sure it said like something snaps in Wilbur's expression towards the end especially. This scene makes me sad because it reminds me of the days when Tommy's character was happy and kind of optimistic, you know, before the entire exile. He was optimistic, he was happy about the future, he wanted to have fun. So it was just really sad for me during this scene, knowing what he's going to become like. There's also a frame that I kind of did a redraw of a scene I did in Act 1, where I sort of made Wilbur glare at Tommy, and I sort of did that scene again, did that frame again to sort of replicate it. Like, not an homage necessarily, but like a continuation of expressions. Also like the scene where Wilbur's like, who made you in charge? And Tommy's like, me, bitch, and laughs. It's really funny. It's a really sweet little interaction. My biggest strength in my drawings, I think personally, is my expressions. So I really try to sort of lean in on that, especially when I'm speedrunning an animatic and I can't add much movement or details. I really try to go ham on the emotions so that it makes up for the lack of movements otherwise. The last set of frames, I sort of also really went ham on with the shading, with like the fire and everything, because I really wanted to lean in on the fact that Wilbur has snapped. So the next one I did was the argument scene between Tommy and Wilbur. Now, this scene. This scene. Oh. I did not sleep Friday night. And if you saw my stream on Saturday, I didn't sleep for over 24 hours. So I was fine. I was okay. I was more than able to do that. I wasn't dead, but I'm still recuperating. The whole animatic is 6 minutes long. Thankfully, I didn't do the entire thing by myself. I did the first 4 minutes of it. But honestly, the hardest part of this animatic was narrowing down the storyboard. So I basically went through all the storyboards, took out anything I didn't think was necessary, because after I'd done that, I had all my work laid out for me, so I knew what I needed to do. Something you might notice is that in the first minute of the animatic, when Wilbur's talking, before he says, Tommy, let's be the bad guys, you don't actually see his face. Now, that was intentional because I wanted to sort of make it like you can't see, you know, that he's losing his mind completely yet. So when he does say that line, sort of like, I think it's like, Tommy, let's be villains, and he sort of like leans his head back, I really wanted to show the insanity in his eyes. I think originally there was like almost 200 frames in the storyboards, and then I narrowed it down to like just over 100, like 105 maybe. I did this, my part of the animatic, I think in like 14 hours. I drew so much angsty Wilbur. Like by the end of making this animatic, I was like relate to the insane expressions I was drawing of Wilbur. And it's just, I was losing my mind. I also had to reuse a couple frames in some aspects. I was like, I can't draw anymore, like, and I can't. So I just reused bits I thought I could reuse that wouldn't be too noticeable. The part where Wilbur is sitting down on the box, and the frame where he's like looking into his hands, on the storyboard it said, please make him look really tired. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I understand that. I relate to that at the moment. I'm exhausted. So I basically just did that. And I had a lot of fun making that. Again, he's hiding his face. He's, you know, exhausted. He can't deal with it anymore. Tommy's the one that's, you know, hopeful. He's the one that's like encouraging him. And this scene, I really love the original scene of this because Wilbur, I don't know what it is about Wilbur, like the content creator. He just has such good control over his voice. Well, obviously he's a singer, but he just has such good control of his voice. It really like made me scared, and I love that about the content creator. So Tommy's trying to encourage him, and then Wilbur just sort of snaps and becomes like creepy and evil. And I had so much fun with this op shot of him looking down at Tommy. I just really wanted to make it show that Wilbur is gone. He's gone. He's not coming back. Also, the bit where like Wilbur is not colored in, it's just like a black shadow going around. That was me trying to save time, but also sort of like trying to show that Wilbur is a danger, basically. I don't know. I was trying to have an effect on it, like a creepy effect. Thankfully, we had, for the second bit of the animatic, we had other artists that came in to help us out, namely Sage, Fluffy, and Neko, which, you know, literally thank you so much, because I would have died having to do all this on my own. I did have to edit one of Sage's frames at the very end. There was a frame that was missing, so I edited the art to be able to manage that frame. So Fluffy did the first half of their part of the animatic, but then obviously it's really late, so they passed out, which is completely understandable. Like, I'm not holding anybody again. I just want to make sure I'm not bitter, I'm not salty. I'm very happy to do this work. I'm really happy to do this work. We needed the last part of the animatic to be done. So what I tried to do is that so that it wasn't such like a sharp change between art styles, I tried to replicate that art style to sort of melt it better. So I did a lot of copy and pasting and sort of trying to find brushes that fit the Fluffy's art style and everything. Yeah, so this animatic, you know, I both love it and I want to throttle it. If this animatic could be personified as a person, I would kill him. Let's just put it that way. The scene right after this one was the second animatic that was added to my workload. This one was 147 frames, and I followed it quite closely. I was basically I was copy and pasting where I could to save time, but again, trying to change details, trying to change expressions. Somebody also in the live chat was like, why does he look like he's about to sing like Mother Knows Best from like Rapunzel by Mother Guffel? And I was like, listen, I'm assuming you're saying that's a good thing, but it's like, I'm trying my best here. This is also, again, the first in-person appearance of Dream. Again, with me drawing characters at first appearance. I hope I do them justice. I had a lot of fun, again, drawing Wilbur losing his mind. I don't know what it is about me liking to draw characters losing their minds. It's just a lot of fun to me, because like you can really push his expressions to make it terrifying. Also, the voice actors are just so good. I love the voice actors so much. That's just so perfect for the roles, honestly. My dudes, they're just so good. The bit where, Wilbur's like, I'm gonna blow it all up and everything, and Tommy's like, no, Wilbur, like grabbing his arm, and Wilbur like rips his arm away from Tommy. It breaks my heart. I drew this, I shouldn't be sad about angst, but I am. So you guys get to have as much pain as I do. So in the original scene where this happens, Dream says, I'm gonna have to step in, I'm sorry. Wilbur goes, yeah, Daddy Dream. Well, obviously this was cut out from a Dream SMP musical. So what I did in that scene is that Dream does step in. Instead you see Wilbur smiling. It's not him saying, yeah, Daddy Dream, but it's like, he's thinking it. You know, like the content creator did. For the last 2 frames of the animatic, there was a detail that said, despite what Wilbur's saying, make the expression slightly sad to show that he's not actually, like, he's telling himself he's happy with the outcome, but is he actually happy with like his decision? So I tried to really sort of, you know, it's a bit like an ambiguous expression basically, and I tried to do that here. The next scene I did was the divorce scene, as it's labeled, and this is actually one of my original scenes I was meant to do. We're actually getting there. Wow, a scene I was actually meant to do. So the original storyboards had 49 frames. I ended up doing 121 frames. Again, I had a lot of fun with this because I like character confrontations. I like drawing characters arguing and fighting. I don't know why. And showing like Quackity's fear of Schlatt throughout the whole thing, like showing his intimidation, how small he is compared to Schlatt. Both obviously in height and also just like in power. But like actually Quackity's not in power, it's all Schlatt. So you get a lot of like Schlatt looming over Quackity, looking down on him, demeaning him and everything like that. Again, like Schlatt's thing is that he's an alcoholic, so I really tried to play that into like my scenes with Schlatt in general, but especially this one because of the end bit. In the background of the bit where Quackity is threatening Schlatt with the crossbow, there's actually a painting in the background, and it's kind of like, not a painting, but it's like a photograph, and it's of Schlatt and Quackity, sort of like at the beginning of their rule, when they were just president, vice president, being chill, being happy, looking forward to ruling Manberg together. I don't know, I just thought it'd be interesting detail. I just thought it was an interesting detail to add that in the background to show that they used to be on good terms, and now their relationship has completely crumbled. A bit like Tommy and Wilbur. And I just really like the bit where like Schlatt is like, nobody else will take you, like nobody will take you and only me, and then he gets shot. I just think that's really funny, and I like in a sort of like, haha, get fucked sort of way. Quackity spilling the drink on Schlatt, I find that really satisfying, and I had so much fun drawing that. So the next and final animatic I worked on is actually the final scene before the credits. It's Filza singing about how he's lost Wilbur and how that makes him feel, basically. A lot of it is just a lot of expressions from Filza. I wanted to concentrate on his emotions. I tried to make it as visually interesting as I could. I added a little frame of ghost spur there just to imply for Act 3, because there is an Act 3. Obviously he feels guilty about Wilbur's death, so he's kind of seeing his death everywhere, even when it's not actually in front of him. So for example, you have at the very end where you see like blood spatter on the floor with Wilbur's hand. It's like, that's not actually there, but it's just Filza's guilt sort of coming to life in his eyes. So there's a scene where he's like looking down. Again, that's kind of an, lack of a better word, an homage to Wilbur's expression that I gave in earlier in the previous animatic and in the first act. You know, sort of like, oh, father like son, like son like father, or whatever. So those are all the animatics I did. Oh, good God, so much work, so much work. What I find funny about all of this is that I remember at the beginning of Act 2, I was having a bit of a breakdown because of uni and quarantine, and I genuinely thought I wouldn't be able to get any of my work done in time. So very sorry, directors, for me projecting my rambling insecurities onto you. Thank you for hearing me out. So I find it really funny now that I actually ended up doing more work than I originally was meant to do and finishing on time. So other than the animatics I did, I ended up coloring for plants in scene 2.9, so Tubba's execution, and for winter at the very end where sort of Tommy is sort of rejecting becoming president. I colored a couple, not hugely significant, but like it was a huge privilege to be able to draw for plant and winter because their art's so pretty, it's so gorgeous. I did have to try and replicate Winter's shading technique. But thankfully, they gave me a very good sort of like how-to. I was quite happy about that. It was very useful. I tried doing the best I could. I'm sorry. Other than that, I translated scenes 3 and 8 into French for the subtitles. So there are going to be subtitles for this one. I found translating into English from French easier. And my French is a little rusty, despite being French. Haha. So if you're a fellow Frenchie and you see mistakes or find that the language is too formal or that some sort of lingo isn't accurate, that's my bad. I tried finding the most suitable translations. And lastly, I voiced Phil. I was Phil's voice actor. No, I did not attempt trying to do his accent. No, I would have just started offending every person who has an accent in England. I wasn't gonna try and insult Phil. It's like, I'm just gonna go with my voice. But yeah, I was really nervous. When I was watching the premiere, I was legit shaking. I was so nervous. Not so much for like the speaking role, like obviously I'm still nervous about how people are gonna react, but I was quite happy with how that went. So were the directors, so I had no gripes with that. But with the song is so good. I love it. But I'm a bit insecure about my singing. Not thinking that I don't think I'm good at singing, that's not what I mean, but sort of like I'm used to having a teacher help me sing, so having to teach myself how to sing a song based off just lyrics and listening to the song over and over again, I was just a bit insecure about that. I did so many takes to try and get the right take. I just wanted to be good so badly. Actually, when I was actually drawing the animatic for the song for that scene, I hated listening to my own voice, and I did not like the take I had done. And I asked Ali if I could do another take to replace the audio with, and thankfully she was okay with that, which, thank you, Ali, because I was so insecure about it. So the version you hear there is one of the better versions, so if you don't think it's good, well, I tried. But people in the chat seem to really like it. So I'm really happy about that people liked it. My parents watched it and they liked it. My mum says I'm cool. But yeah, so that's all the work I did for Dream SMP Musical Act 2. So much work. But yeah, I really look forward to Act 3. I look forward to more voice acting because obviously, especially at the beginning, Phil's has got a bit more of a role, so I'm hoping that by now I'll be more comfortable doing voice acting Philza. So we shall see how that goes. I look forward to it. It's gonna be fun. Also, Sam Dude is in Act 3, so I'm very excited. I want to draw him. Please let me draw him. But yeah, that's all for now. I'm gonna go pass out. And go make sure, if you haven't already, to go check out the Act 2. It'll be in the description. It'll be in the pinned comment. If you've already watched it, go watch it again. I know it's 2 hours, but watch it, please. We worked so hard on it. Again, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Take care, everybody.